I was led to believe that all of you are entrepreneurs or founders. Is that correct? How many of you think you are effective founders? You set out to do something and it always happens. 2. 2 is a great number. Yeah. So 98% of you feel that you could possibly do more. So what stops you from being an effective founder? Just raise your hand. And digital marketing, okay. Impatience, okay. Some would call it a virtue, but that's good. What else? Perfectionism, okay, that's great. What else? Budgets, okay. Anybody else? Change of thoughts in middle, great. I can see a lot of smiles on that one. That's a good one. Clarity, okay, great. Delegation, great. So all of you are right, and there's a common thread. So at Google, we work with a lot of entrepreneurs, founders, and personally also as an investor, operator, I've been working with a lot of founders and operators for many years. And there's a common thread which ties effectiveness from founders who feel they are not very effective or are not very effective. And that common thread is being able to generate high quality performance from your teams. The teams are the foundation of scale. So if you're able to generate high performance from your teams, you're able to scale your businesses. So this is a very busy slide. This is what in Google we call a TLDR. So too long, didn't read. So you're not supposed to read it. It's precisely for that purpose. But there are some common themes. So treat people like volunteers, and we'll talk more about it. Protect the team from distractions. Preserve interpersonal equity. Minimize unnecessary micromanagement. Invite disagreement. Keep pace with expertise and overcome discouragement. So let's talk about the first one. It's a very, very interesting theme, people. Read this quote. So you don't build a business, you build people and then people build the business. So we have some amazing entrepreneurs here. And it doesn't matter what scale the business is at. Ultimately, the effort required is almost the same. Whether you're running a 1 crore company or 10 crore or 1,000 crores. All of us have about 2,000 to 2,400 hours in a year, depending on whether you're doing 40 hours or 60 hours a week. Everybody has the same number of hours. Arguably, everybody has access to the same quality of talent. And I'm saying arguably, because some of you will say, I can't hire from pedigreed institutions or top companies because I don't have budgets. And I'll try to bust that myth as I go through my talk. So think about it. If scale is what you desire, and scale comes with having amazing people, highly motivated people, and the building is basically built on people. The number one goal of any effective founder is to identify great talent, sell them your vision, align on goals, and get out of the way. I've made it super simplistic. But people are people, it's never so simple. So we're going to deep dive into what happens. So what does treating people like volunteers mean? When somebody volunteers to do something, they have intrinsic motivation. I remember many years ago, when I was just starting my career in a very large company, and we were management trainees, and a CHRO walked in for induction and he said, work is supposed to be work. It's not meant to be nice. It's not meant to be pleasant. And that's why you get paid for it. I think this was the thought prevalent then. many years ago. I'm not going to date myself, but that was many years ago. I think today the best talent actually comes with intrinsic motivation. Let's talk more about it. So some of you could say, I run a non-tech business or tech business, but if you actually look at the right side of the slide, this is applicable across both tech and ops-led businesses. And most effective founders get the troops to really believe in the vision they have. Now you would say, I'm running a small DTC brand or I'm running a law firm. I was reading through some of your profiles, so I have a fair inkling of what you do. This is applicable everywhere. Law firms, design firms, agencies, image management companies, filmmakers, everywhere. You need people to believe in a vision. For that, you need to have a vision. You have to lead by inspiring people from the front. And we actually, in management, call it shadow of the leader. If you're really not top-notch, it's very hard for you to inspire others. Leadership is literally like, जिसको बोलते हैं Bollywood में खून पसीना देना. You have to lead from the front, which leads to other people getting inspired and motivated. Most important, WIFM. What's in it for me? This doesn't mean people are coin-operated machines. This basically means, are you appealing to their sense of personal gratification? It could be they're intellectually growing, it could be they're financially growing, it could be there is an emotional angle to their working for you. They're highly motivated by what is the problem you're trying to solve. Or it could be ideally a combination of all three. That's the ideal state. Today, when people work for the best startups, they often take a pay cut. Day zero. They go without salaries for months. Best talent is driven by meaningful work, driven by a larger mission or vision. If you can take a note on this and go back and think, what's the larger purpose of your organization? What are you trying to solve for? And are you able to articulate it, narrate it convincingly again and again? And is it believable? At times the vision is in our head, we are bowled over by it, but when we actually pitch it to others, their eyes glaze over and they're like, what's this person talking about? It doesn't connect. Great work is a result of discretionary effort. Very important. What's discretionary effort? Expected effort leads to expected outcomes. If I ask you to prepare a pitch for a client, and there is a certain quality standard which is expected, it will give you the expected results. That extra above the ordinary is always discretionary. Somebody doing that extra research on that script, somebody taking extra effort to research the client before the meeting. If discretionary effort is what drives extraordinary performance, arguably all of us are in the business of extracting discretionary effort. I'm not saying this happens in this room, but a lot of people think that, hey, I'm paying someone, I can do anything. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. It doesn't excuse poor behavior. Great people always have options. Because they are working for you, never assume that they don't have an option. They're working for you completely out of their own volition. And today's talent, they would prefer to be unemployed and not do anything versus working at a place where they don't feel inspired. And if they feel inspired, trust me, how much you can pay them is going to be last of your worries. We work with a lot of startups, and the first 10 employees actually have to be missionaries. Not in the religious sense of the word, but in the sense that they have to be evangelists. They have to believe the vision, they have to sell the vision to others. And arguably, other than you, the first 9 have to be better than you. That's what creates a top-notch, effective organization. And if that is what's required, then as a founder, hiring is the most important thing you're going to be doing. And you should always be in the business of recruiting, including in conferences like these. The best people have to be courted over many months. And I have personally seen it. At times, I have known top quality talent for many years before I've got to recruit them and work with them. And it's been a privilege. You can't start recruiting when you need someone. So the best UX designers, image consultants, chartered accountants, lawyers, financial planners, DevOps engineers, brand managers, you always have to be in the market recruiting them. Doesn't mean you have to be making an offer, but you have to be connecting with them, keeping in touch with them. Eventually, at some time, the goal is to work with them. When you pitch your vision, often it can be seen to be very self-serving. In North India, we say, "Khud ka bachcha kabhi kharab nahi lagta hai." So you're always going to think your business is the most amazing, it's incredible. Can you get a partner, a user, to pitch your business? In good old-fashioned advertising days, we would do, vox pop, research, consumer research, interviews, trying to find language, words, phrases which emotionally connect with the consumer. And at times they would make it to the ad copy. So this can be great if you can articulate a larger vision and actually get a user or a consumer to pitch it or a customer to pitch it. It's far more believable for employees. And the way to do it is invite some consumers in. If some of you are running direct to consumer brands, call them into your office or go into their homes and talk to them and get your employees to experience the love which your product or services are creating. We spoke about this a little. Head, heart, wallet. I have my own prioritization on this. I think if you can connect to people's heart and head and wallet in that order, that's the most sustainable. It's typically, most people think it's wallet, head and heart. It's actually reverse. Most people, irrespective of what we think, are not very money driven. It would be good to have great incomes, great salaries, but most people want to feel alive. Kida chahiye, kick chahiye life mein. For great talent, money is never hard to make. They want to feel alive. They want that work to be kick-ass. They want the work to be memorable. They want to put their names on bricks in the walls. If you can help them put their names on bricks in the walls, they're not going to leave you for money. All of you are CEOs, founders, so you might not like it. But most employees think CEOs are the most distracted. I've heard CEOs and founders being called ideas a minute and worse, ideas a second. Does it mean that you should not generate ideas? However, what happens is when you generate too many ideas and too fast, there is something called executive magnification which happens. You might have said something in passing. You might have said, "Hey, how about we do this?" You've forgotten about the idea, or you've moved on to your next idea. But for the employee in your firm, because you said it and you said it to them, it suddenly has a lot of meaning. And it started a spiral of work. And we call this executive magnification. Most of you who run companies might not even imagine how important are you to your employees. and how important your words are and how calibrated your words should be. You are a founder, you are a CEO because you have ideas, you have energy. But does every idea need to be shared with the employee immediately? Or do you yourself need to live with it, sleep over it, think through it, prioritize it? A lot of people are very bad at prioritization. And they will typically not come back to you and say, hey, I'm doing these 10 things. You just give me an 11th thing to do. According to me, these 3 things should not be done. And I can pick up this 4th thing. They would not. Burial rights are very important. For example, once this conference gets over, the organizing team should get everybody in the room, celebrate the success of the conference, talk about the learnings on what can be done differently, and officially declare it closed. Otherwise, there are some initiatives which keep running in the background. It's like a low-level electronic hum, which you don't realize as founders or owners, but they are sucking in bandwidth. We spoke about micro and macro management. Most effective founders need to do both. If you're only doing micromanagement, you're actually operating 3 levels below what you should be operating at. Micromanagement is a drug. It's like sugar. You immediately get a release because there is a small activity which you did yourself. You felt completely in control. You felt there's no one in the team who could have done it better. It's okay for that activity or task to have been done at a 80% confidence level, and for you to be a coach so that next time it gets done to a 90% and 100% level. However, if you step down and you micromanage that task, it's going to be a great feeling for that time being. And when I've been coaching founders, I often hear, इतनी देर में तो मैं खुद कर लेती. But that itna there is for that moment. It's also across many months where you will end up doing it many times. And then upward delegation happens. Your team start thinking, you will end up doing it. Your business as an entrepreneur is not to be the chief problem solver. Most of us think, we are type A, alpha, we can solve anything. You give me a problem, I'll get into solving it. If you can hold back and not solve that problem, you fundamentally will end up building team capability, which gives you scale. And let some things go wrong. Everything is not a do or die situation. If you can hold back and not be the chief problem solver in your companies, you will build scale. It's very contrarian. Most entrepreneurs, founders are go-getters. You see a fire, you rush to douse it. You put on your cape and you go flying in. That's the time to look at the fire from far and trust your team to get up and do it. If you want to know how effective you are in building a great team, just think about when is the last time your team disagreed with you vehemently? And how frequent is the disagreement? If it is very frequent, it's cacophony. If it is not frequent enough, you're not getting the best out of them. Thank you.